It is obviously a manual for teaching fighting games, or learning fighting games, rather. But it is, I think, also a good read for people who kind of already feel comfortable in their knowledge of fighting games, because it helps you understand what the formative experiences were in your history that might have contributed to you sticking with fighting games as long as you did. Which I think is just kind of a neat thing to do with the book. So let's see, the way the book is organized is it's in terms of fighting game firsts. So it's playing your first fighting game, like your first session. It's playing your first match against a human being. It's going up and picking out your first controller for fighting games, or going to a tournament, all the way up to like running your own tournament or going to a major or whatever. And the idea is basically that, like, if you look at where people have a hard time, learning how to play fighting games and sticking to it, and I don't just mean like learning how to play fighting games, I actually mean becoming a fighting game player, right? It's not so much in the mechanics of any given game, and if it is in the mechanics of any given game, like games have tutorials, games have content creators, the thing that they get tripped up on is not knowing like what they should be doing or what they should be doing next. And that's where you get people like, oh, I'm not going to go to a tournament unless I think I can win it, right? Like, obviously, that's not what tournaments are. Tournaments are an excuse to hang out and play the game. But if you don't realize that because you've never been to a tournament and all you've seen are streams of like people in esports jerseys looking real competitive and whatever, then you might not realize that like going to tournaments is actually mostly just an excuse to hang out, right? And that if tournaments are just competitive for you, you're probably not having a bunch of fun, and unless it's your job, you're probably not going to stick to it for that long, or you're just miserable, right? Either of which are things you should know about yourself, I guess. So the book ends up trying to be more like a coach that says, hey, yeah, go to tournaments to get high with friends. That's the purest motivation I've ever heard. So the book ends up trying to be like kind of like somewhere between like a coach or like a mentor, right? It's not teaching you how to literally play the game. It is giving you some tools to understand how to play fighting games in general, but it's more about trying to lead you through the various experiences that people go through. And what I found is that obviously it's good for new players because they just get a manual that tells them, oh, I should do this next. I should do this next. I should do this next, right? But it doesn't do the work for them. Right. Yeah, that's a really good deal, Bridge. It doesn't do the work for you, which is good because the work is actually the fun part, right? Like actually learning how to play the game and do all this stuff and seeing the progress, trickle on by is, hey, GG's Kev, is the fun part. And I don't want to skip that for people, right? People should feel ownership over their own learning experience. It's part of what makes the stuff so fun, right? But having an experienced voice to be like, hey, man, tournaments are pretty cool. Everyone's usually pretty cool at a tournament. Like, yeah, it's going to be awkward at first because you don't know the vibes, but just go and you'll figure it out. Like that kind of stuff, I think, has been really important and really useful. But for experienced fighting game players, ooh, that was tight. For experienced fighting game players, it's interesting because a lot of us have tried to teach people and tried to get into the games, right? Like get other people into the games, tried to help share the love of something that we feel so profoundly, right? Like most people, if you've been playing fighting games for a couple of years, you probably are doing it because nothing hits quite like that. And, like 2 or 3 years, hey, 1 year, hey, maybe you just really liked whatever Street Fighter or Tekken or whatever was out. Maybe you really liked Dragon Ball. And, you played it for a bit and that was like, oh, that was your serious foray into fighting games. Then you moved on to play something else, whatever. 2 to 3 years, hey, maybe you got really into it. You got a local scene that you fuck with and it was like filling a need in your life at that time. If you're past 3 years on this shit, you're probably like it's probably something that will always stick with you. Even if you're not always playing all the time, it'll probably stick with you just because it fills some kind of need in your life. And you're either going to keep on doing it because it continues to fill that need, or you're going to find something else that fills the need kind of better or more gracefully or easier to fit in your life or whatever. And that's cool too. But for a lot of us, like, we're here and we're stuck with it, right? Like, this is our shit till the day we die. And when you try and teach other people, you'll see that they don't feel as strongly, or that they get caught up on things that you don't necessarily get caught up on. And that's what's up, Nausea. Exactly. And you're not just sucking anymore, man. I saw some of those dubs in A rank. That shit's tight. But you made it through. You stuck with it, but you might not know why, right? Especially if you haven't done this kind of thing before. Maybe you've never stuck with anything this long in your life, which is actually, I see that with a lot of people in fighting games, right? All other hobbies have kind of came and went. You know, maybe you played a sport in high school or college or whatever, but then you stopped and you didn't really get back on it or whatever. You picked up a card game or even a competitive video game and you played it for a little bit, but eventually you faded out. But fighting games have stuck with you and you don't know why. I think my book is pretty good at kind of helping you understand the experiences you've already had that got you to stick with it. And that's pretty cool because, one, it's good to know that about yourself, right? Like, I understand my own fighting game origin story quite clearly because I've had to dissect it countless times in service of the work that I do, like trying to understand how people learn stuff better, right? You know, obviously, even if you're not like that, like, knowing what helped you stick with it so that you can help teach others, right? If you want to like share the love or build your own scene or whatever, or even if you just want to know more about why you are the way you are, is pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool thing. And it's, and you know, part of what I like the most about writing about fighting game stuff is there's writing that I do for new players, and that's a lot of it. But what I really appreciate is the experienced players, the people who don't need to be sold on fighting games and already have an understanding of how they want to learn and what they want to learn and why they do this and so on and so forth. Read my shit and be like, oh, I understand something about myself that I never did before. And that's tight. So yeah, buy my book and read it.